In the annals of modern history, few moments are as chilling and theatrical as the public purge orchestrated by Saddam Hussein in 1979. This orchestrated spectacle, carried out shortly after Hussein assumed full power in Iraq, was both a ruthless display of political control and a harrowing reminder of his dictatorial reach. The infamous event sent shockwaves across Iraq and the world, cementing his reputation as a leader who would stop at nothing to eliminate perceived threats. The rise of Saddam Hussein. To understand the significance of the 1979 purge, one must first explore the backdrop of Saddam Hussein's ascent. Born in 1937 in a modest village near Tikrit, Saddam rose through the ranks of the Ba'ath Party, a political movement advocating Arab nationalism and socialism. His early years were marked by ambition and ruthlessness, traits that propelled him to prominence within the party. By 1968, the Ba'ath Party had seized control of Iraq in a coup, and Saddam emerged as a key figure behind the scenes, holding the title of vice president under President Ahmed Hassan al-Bakr. Over the next decade, Saddam consolidated his power through strategic alliances, coercion, and an extensive network of informants. His meticulous planning and political acumen positioned him as the de facto leader. Even before officially taking the reins, in July 1979, Saddam forced al-Bakr to resign, citing health reasons. This marked the beginning of his official presidency. However, Saddam knew that consolidating power required more than a ceremonial handover. He needed to eliminate dissent within the Ba'ath Party itself, ensuring absolute loyalty to his rule. The Public Purge. On July 22, 1979, Saddam Hussein orchestrated one of the most chilling spectacles of his rise to uncontested power. In a dramatic and meticulously premeditated display, he convened hundreds of high-ranking Ba'ath Party members for an extraordinary meeting in Baghdad. What transpired that day was both a calculated performance and a ruthless purge that cemented Saddam's reputation as a master manipulator of fear and loyalty. The meeting began with Saddam adopting an air of gravitas, his demeanor calm yet authoritative. He declared that a conspiracy had been uncovered within the Ba'ath Party, a plot to overthrow his regime, one allegedly led by traitorous elements from within their own ranks. This announcement sent shockwaves through the hall, transforming what had initially seemed like a routine political gathering into a theater of paranoia and dread. Saddam then summoned senior official Muhyi Abdel Hussein to read aloud the names of those implicated. One by one, names were announced, and as each accusation was made, the corresponding individual was forcibly removed by armed guards. The scene grew increasingly tense with every name, the heavy thud of boots on the floor punctuating the charged silence as the accused were led away. No explanations were offered, no evidence presented, just a grim procession into the unknown. The audience, gripped by fear, found themselves compelled to participate in the charade. Remaining members denounced the accused with feverish conviction, some sobbing, others pledging unyielding loyalty to Saddam in a desperate bid to avoid suspicion. By the end of the day, over 60 party members had been detained. Most were executed shortly thereafter, their deaths serving as a macabre warning to anyone who might dare challenge Saddam's authority. The psychological warfare. The purge was far more than a brutal act of elimination. It was a calculated exercise in psychological warfare. Saddam Hussein recognized that fear was one of the most effective tools for consolidating power. By staging the event in such a public and dramatic manner, he created an atmosphere of paranoia and submission, ensuring that loyalty to his regime became an instinct rather than a choice. The methodical way in which the purge unfolded added to its chilling effect. Accusations were made without warning, and the accused were dragged away in front of their peers. This wasn't just about removing perceived threats, it was a demonstration of absolute authority. The remaining party members were forced to participate in condemning their colleagues, deepening their complicity and binding their fates to Saddam's leadership. The decision to record the event was a masterstroke of propaganda and control. Select audiences later viewed the footage, further spreading the message that betrayal, real or imagined, was intolerable. It reinforced the perception of Saddam as an all-seeing, all-knowing figure. The purge wasn't just a warning to the conspirators, it was a deliberate psychological assault on anyone who might consider dissent, ensuring obedience through fear. Consolidation of power. The purge of 1979 was a turning point in Saddam Hussein's journey to absolute authority. with dissenting voices within the Ba'ath Party silenced. Saddam swiftly restructured the organization to ensure only his most loyal supporters occupied key positions. This reorganization effectively eliminated internal challenges, granting him the freedom to govern unopposed and implement his vision for Iraq with ruthless efficiency. Saddam's regime was characterized by pervasive surveillance, paranoia, and an intricate network of informants. Citizens were encouraged, sometimes coerced, to report on each other, creating an atmosphere of mistrust that permeated every level of Iraqi society. This surveillance apparatus was not only a method of control, but also a tool for fostering a climate of dependency on Saddam's leadership. The meticulous records maintained by the Ba'ath Party reflected this obsessive need for control. For over 3 decades, the regime documented the lives of its citizens in exhaustive detail, tracking everything from educational aspirations to political affiliations. The Hoover Institution's Ba'ath Party archives offer a unique glimpse into the extent of Saddam's control. With over 10 million digitized pages and 1,500 video files, the archives reveal the inner workings of a regime obsessed with loyalty and order. Researchers like Joseph Sassoon, who authored Saddam Hussein's Ba'ath Party, Inside an Authoritarian Regime, uncovered the lengths to which the regime went to enforce conformity. According to Sassoon, these archives demonstrate how the state demanded utter loyalty from its citizens and maintained meticulous surveillance over every aspect of their lives. One of the most chilling elements of Saddam's consolidation was the use of propaganda to reinforce his omnipotent image. Public purges, such as the events of July 1979, were recorded and circulated to remind citizens of the consequences of betrayal. In addition, Saddam's charisma played a crucial role. His ability to inspire fear and loyalty simultaneously ensured that dissent remained not just discouraged, but unthinkable. Aftermath. The aftermath of Saddam Hussein's 1979 purge reverberated far beyond Iraq's borders, reshaping political alliances, stoking tensions, and leaving a legacy of fear. On July 28, 1979, Iraqi state media publicly detailed the events of the Ba'ath Party meeting, accusing Syria of backing the alleged coup attempt. Syrian Ba'athists vehemently denied involvement, but the damage was done. Relations between the Ba'athist governments of Iraq and Syria, already fraught with rivalry, were irreparably shattered. The execution of 21 individuals accused of plotting against Saddam was a grim centerpiece of this political spectacle. Announced by the Iraqi news agency on August 8th, the executions were carried out by firing squad. The only exception was one individual condemned to death in absentia, his whereabouts unknown, to ensure the population understood the gravity of disloyalty. A tape documenting both the assembly and the executions was widely distributed across Iraq. The gruesome footage was a chilling reminder of Saddam's zero-tolerance approach to dissent. In early August 1979, Saddam further consolidated his image as an unyielding leader. From the balcony of the presidential mansion in Baghdad, he addressed a throng of 50,000 supporters, proclaiming that he had personally witnessed the punishment of the conspirators. The crowd erupted in chants, celebrating his decisive actions. This public display of authority reinforced the narrative of Saddam as a protector of the Ba'athist state and a merciless enforcer of loyalty. The purge also catalyzed a complete diplomatic breakdown between Iraq and Syria. Saddam accused Syrian Ba'athists of being deeply involved in the plot, despite a lack of concrete evidence, initially. Iraq maintained its financial support to Syria as promised during the 1978 Arab League summit. However, the goodwill evaporated with the eruption of the Iran-Iraq War in 1980. During the conflict, Syrian President Hafez al-Assad openly sided with Iran, prompting Saddam to accuse him of betraying Pan-Arabism, a core ideological pillar of both nations. This animosity fueled decades of proxy battles and mutual subversion. Syria began supporting Iraqi opposition groups, including the Shia Islamic Dawa Party, while Iraq backed the National Front for the Liberation of Arab Syria, a coalition of Syrian opposition factions. Saddam also provided support to Islamist revolts within Syria, aiming to destabilize Assad's Alawite-dominated regime. The rivalry between the two nations persisted, a political vendetta that outlasted both leaders and shaped regional dynamics well into the 21st century. The purge also entrenched Saddam's reputation as a leader who ruled through fear and violence. The executions and public spectacle solidified his hold over Iraq, leaving no room for opposition. The schism with Syria underscored the fragility of Ba'athist unity, revealing how personal ambition and ideological rigidity could fracture even the most seemingly aligned political movements. The legacy of the purge lived on, not only in Iraq but across the Middle East. The distrust and hostility between Iraq and Syria became a defining feature of the region's geopolitics, influencing alliances and conflicts for decades. Saddam's purge had achieved its immediate goal of eliminating dissent, but its broader consequences sowed discord and instability far beyond Iraq's borders. International reaction. The international community's response to Saddam's actions was complex. Iraq's strategic importance, both as an oil-rich nation and as a Middle Eastern power, made many global powers hesitant to take a strong stand against him. Western nations, including the United States, prioritized stability in the region over condemning Saddam's authoritarianism. This calculated ambivalence allowed Saddam to tighten his grip on power without significant external interference. Neighboring countries, however, viewed Saddam's actions with growing unease. The purge was a stark demonstration of his willingness to use extreme measures to maintain control, signaling a new era of aggressive authoritarian rule in Iraq. For some nations, the purge served as a warning for others. It became a grim blueprint for consolidating power. Saddam's use of fear, propaganda, and a highly structured party system ensured his regime would remain unchallenged for decades. His actions not only reshaped Iraq's political landscape, but also highlighted the devastating impact of authoritarian governance on a nation's society and history. For those who lived through the era, the memory of the purge remains a haunting reminder of the dangers of unchecked power. Totally. The Public Purge of 1979 was more than an event. It was a performance designed to instill fear and loyalty. Saddam Hussein's calculated approach to eliminating dissent within his own ranks ensured his dominance for decades, at a tremendous cost to Iraq and its people. As history reflects on this dark chapter, it serves as a stark warning of the perils of absolute power and the human toll of tyranny.